Sometimes targets can be difficult to recover even with the pinpointer, but there's a little known trick with the Garrett Pro Pointer where you can retune it to a target. In this case, I'll show a small buck and ball piece of lead. This is an item that's pretty small that could be hard to find in the field, but by retuning you can narrow down the audio response to that target and move the pinpointer closer and closer to it to make it easier to find. And I'll demonstrate that by putting this piece of lead into this hole. It's about 3 inches deep, and I'll just cover it over with a little bit of dirt. And I'll come in, my pinpointer's on. I'm going to go through the recovery method as if I'm searching down in the hole to see if my target's still in there. So I've got a good strong signal, and if I want to check to see how close I am to it, I get it near the strongest response and simply turn it off and on again real quick. Off and right back on. And it's only going to respond when I get super close to that target now. So now when it goes off, I'm right on it. I can just reach down and there's my target. I'll actually demonstrate that on the ground right here. I'll set this target here. Now to set this back to its normal operation, I'll simply take the Pro Pointer away from any metal, turn it off, turn it back on again. Now it's at full strength. So I'm going to drop down here and put it next to this little tiny musket ball. You can see that it's going off, very consistent. When I get to the strongest peak, I'll turn it off, back on again. And at this closeness, I'm not responding to it. I've knocked down that audio response to where I almost have to touch it for it to go off. So that shows you how a tiny piece of gold or a tiny artifact like this, you can really retune to the target to know if you're close to it. Another way that comes in handy is if you have a larger target. Now over here in this other hole, I've got a soda can at 6 inches deep, a big target. I've just dug down a couple inches. I'm trying to determine if I'm close to my target. So I go to my Pro Pointer and turn it on, and I'm getting a good strong signal. Now how do I know if I'm right on my target? I'm going to retune it to see if my target's right there underneath the tip of the Pro Pointer. So I'm going to turn it off and back on again at that strongest peak. I've lost all target response. So what that tells me is it's either a lot deeper or a much larger target, or quite possibly both. Now if I turn it off and back on again, my target's there again. I'm going to have to dig down closer to it to get a response once I've retuned to the target. So that's one way to help tell a large target and a deep target from a target that you're actually very close to. Just a couple of tips on retuning with the Pro Pointer.